welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television, coming to you live from Lagos. Now, some people have already been doing that. We have some pictures that were sent in to us. Where are they? All right, let's begin with this one from Rivers State, showing the scene of a fallen trailer. And from Uyo, the Akwa Ibom state capital, comes this picture of a flooded road, which our eyewitness reporter says leads to the state secretariat. He says the state of the road often causes heavy traffic and is calling on the authorities to do something about it. And this next one was sent in from Okigwe in Imo State, showing what our eyewitness reporter says is an uncompleted bridge which has been abandoned for over 5 years. He's calling on the relevant authorities to complete the project to ease movement on that road. And still on roads is this one from Ekiti State. Our eyewitness reporter says the road, which is on a border town between Ekiti and Osun states, is in a terrible state. He calls on the appropriate authorities to make the road motorable. Finally, we have this photo from Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory, showing a burst water pipe. Our eyewitness reporter says that it's been this way for several weeks and wants the government to do something about that as well. Thanks so much for sending in your pictures, and do remember that you too can be part of the news around you. Let's move on now. And as the United States celebrates its 239th independence anniversary, the U.S. ambassador to Nigeria, Mr. James Entwistle, has given Nigeria the assurance of continued support towards a stronger democracy. Mr. Entwistle said Nigeria's freedom in different sectors of the economy, including its fight against corruption, insecurity and financial instability, will receive continued support from the United States. With a toast to the prosperity of both countries, he said Nigeria and America have both overcome deep and devastating losses through history and will continue to overcome all challenges towards a formidable force in the future.
The people of Nigeria have no better friend than the United States. In my country, our commitment to democracy is right there in our Declaration of Independence. Here in Nigeria, you demonstrated to the world your commitment to democracy in historic elections earlier this year. In both of our great countries, commitment to democracy is deeply woven into our status as free and independent peoples. As you fight Boko Haram and secure and rebuild the Northeast, we will continue to help you in every appropriate way. As you lead the effort to deliver humanitarian aid to those driven from their communities and help them return home, we will continue to assist with food, medical care, and education. As you fight corruption, we offer technical assistance, training for investigators and prosecutors, and a commitment to ensure that no stolen funds are laundered through banking systems in the United States. As you improve the business climate, we encourage trade and investment. As you continue the privatization of your power grid, we stand ready to help through President Obama's Power Africa initiative. As you increase your commitment to healthcare and education, we will of course support those efforts as well.
The former Senate President Ken Nnamani has advised political parties to learn from history and allow for the independence of the legislature. Addressing a gathering in Abuja, Senator Nnamani said the National Assembly is today grappling with the crisis of supremacy of the party versus an established arm of government. Former federal lawmakers at the event also set a legislative agenda for the National Assembly.
Ever since the 8th Assembly was inaugurated on June 9th, it has been plagued by one crisis after the other. The emergence of the principal officers of the Senate and House of Representatives was a tipping point in the drama at the National Assembly. The ruling party, the All Progressives Congress, in an attempt to enforce party supremacy, went on a collision course with some lawmakers in both chambers. But at this event, the former Senate President, Ken Nnamani, asserted that the independence of the legislature should not be sacrificed on the altar of party supremacy.
Yes, parties elect us, present us as candidates. But once the person has been elected to the National Assembly, it takes another life. The loyalty of that individual becomes to the Senate or to the House. You will remember that they come from a party, correct? But the National Assembly is not a party secretariat. You don't go to the floor and then practice party supremacy. It doesn't make sense.
A former federal lawmaker, however, said lawmakers should learn to balance party interests with their legislative duties.
You are a member of the party. You sit on the seat because you are a member of the party. When you leave the party, you lose the seat. So the party owns you. You understand? But although the party owns you, you owe a duty to your constituents of all party divides.
But in spite of the bickering over leadership positions in the National Assembly, Nigerians expect federal lawmakers to perform the duties for which they were elected for. Some federal lawmakers identified critical areas which the parliament must focus on.
What I would like them to do is to try as much as possible to do things that will stabilize this democracy through legislation.
The Senate and the House of Representatives have set up ad hoc committees to put together a legislative agenda for the 8th Assembly. These committees are expected to initiate a legislative agenda which would guide the National Assembly on the areas of specific national legislation which it would focus on in the next 4 years. Linda Kibe, Channels Television News.
Well, let's discuss this a little more now. I'm now being joined on the news at 10 by a former minority leader in the House of Representatives, Mr. Mohammed Kumalia. He joins us now via Skype. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. Now, we have the battle to enforce party supremacy on one hand, and then the insistence on legislative independence on the other. Do you think lawmakers can remove themselves from the bickering and settle down to serve?
Thank you very much. The sooner that the lawmakers get acts together and get with the business of everything, the better, not only, but that is the least expectation of Nigerians. And I think talking about the issue of party vis-a-vis, their roles as members of the National Assembly, I think there must be some balancing between what the party wants on the one hand and what the legislators want on the other hand. And I think the two interests need to come together so that on the one hand, legislators are not disrespectful to their party, whereas on the other hand, the party is not dictating to the legislators who their leaders should be without carrying the members along in that wise. So I think it's a give and take situation. None of them can function without the support of the other.
But isn't that what is happening already? Isn't that what they're trying to do, balance party interests along with legislative duties? How do you propose they do that? Because that is what they've been trying to do, and it has all ended the way we've seen, or this is how it has been carried out. How do you suggest they move forward from here, seeing that they haven't been able to achieve that so far?
Yeah, let me give you an example. On the one hand, the party came up with a list of members or senators, for example, in the Senate, and in fact, even the House of Representatives, nominating or proposing them as, majority leader, majority whip, their deputies. Now, the legislators are saying they have a responsibility to elect their leaders. And in the case of the Senate, they are saying that their caucuses have gone ahead to elect their members. Now, I think the role of the party actually is to set the ground rules through which these leaders would emerge. Now, whether the leaders are going to emerge at the level of the zonal or they're going to emerge at the level of all the caucus members coming together, I think it is important that the party spells out the ground rules. For example, if the party says these positions are going to be zoned to A, B, C, E, F zones, then I think they can stop there and ensure that an election of some sort takes place either at the zones or at the general caucus level so that the zoning of the party is respected on the one hand, whereas the action of electing the leaders, is performed by the legislators, themselves, not the party doing it. I think that has not been done, and I think it is because that has not been done, that is why you hear a situation whereby legislators, or like in the case of both the Senate and the House, they are rejecting the list sent to them by the party on the one hand, and in the case of the Senate, going ahead to say that they have done their election, and through that, leaders have emerged. And that has brought about the issue of the party insisting that their supremacy must be respected and that they have the right to elect the leaders.
Okay, let me just, if you can just cut in there, let me just ask you, what then do you make of Senator Nnamani's argument saying that the loyalty of the lawmaker after he has been elected lies in the National Assembly and not with the party? Because that is what he had said. What do you make of that particular argument?
Well, I think that is up to a point. It's correct up to a point. However, going forward, yes, the loyalty of an elected member once he's sworn in is, to the constituency he now belongs to, which is the parliament. However, it must be done through some guidance, and some ground rules set for them by the party. Because here we are talking about, for instance, the election of the leaders of the APC caucus. Now, these are more or less party leaders in parliament. And therefore, you cannot remove the party. You cannot say the party has no role in guiding that caucus in how these positions should emerge. Because the party would have been responsible for, perhaps allocating, or if you like, zoning other offices that have gone to other areas. And therefore, the party has a responsibility to ensure that there is a general spread of offices across the country in such a way that, the spirit and letter of the Constitution, which talks about, making sure that no particular, group of people or zone or ethnic group or nationality or religious group dominates, positions of government to the exclusion of others. It's a constitutional provision. Some people may argue it's not justiciable, but I think it's a very important constitutional provision, and I think it is the responsibility of the party to ensure that these positions are spread out in such a way that there is adequate representation by all Nigerians in the act of governance. All
right, thanks a lot, Mr. Mohammed Kumalia, former minority leader in the House of Representatives, for joining us on the News at 10 tonight. Still ahead on the News at 10, time for judgment as suspected bank robbers who terrorized the Kurudu end in police custody. Do join us again.